All right, there we are. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon in some cases. Let me just check and see if I've got it on the big screen. Hello there, Philip. Welcome. This is the 1982 stats update. Oh, I've got my coffee here. Slept in a little bit today. You can see I've got the kind of the tired eye look today, and it's I feel about how I look, honestly. But it's still early. Anyway, hope everybody's had a good week. Checking the chat here now. Hang on a second. That won't pop up on the big screen, so I may not be able to see much of the chat for this, and that's all right. We're going to go over the standings and the stats of my 1982 season replay. For those of you who don't know, it's a Windows game replay. And I knock a lot of these out in my spare time or in the evening when I'm sitting around watching TV or listening to music. Not much new with me. I did get some new speaker stands yesterday. They came and I put them together. I'll show them later. There's one there, but they're actually not even speaker stands. They're bar stools. But my cheap, flimsy speaker stands, Mookie would try to jump up there, so I ended up having to put the speakers down on plastic crates to get them lower to the floor, lower center of gravity, so he couldn't knock them over. So anyway, I was thinking something bigger, heavier. Anyway, so I started looking on Craigslist. I saw a few end tables and things like that. Around $40, give or take. And anyway, I went on Amazon and started looking at stools, tables, and bar stools came up. And this one looked absolutely perfect. The height, I'd measured it. It was about an inch taller than my speaker stands were, but close enough. The length and width of the top were good for the speaker. Very solid. Easy to put together. Well, thank you, Michael. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's oh my goodness. As you guys know, this is when I do the stats update, that's about the only time I ever show my face on the camera. Unless it's on the Jeffrey Guterman channel, of course. Anyway, let's get right down to it. I'm going to get the camera in position. And we're going to take a look at 1982. Okay, if we put this here, let's see what we got here. All right, that's not going to work, is it? We're going to have to lower it. I was hoping this would be a little simpler. Maybe if I put it up like that. That's somewhat reasonable. Let me see how it looks on the TV. It's not the greatest, is it? Maybe if I put on better lighting, huh? that doesn't help at all. That just throws glare on there. Hello there, Franklin. Welcome. Sorry about this. It's getting me a little bit to get set up here. My glasses. Mookie, get off of there. You can sit here next to me if you want to. Still seems like I could be better. That's better. All right, fine. Good enough. Let's go with that. We'll start off with the American League here. Let me see how it looks on the TV. Not the best I've ever done, is it? I'm in a different chair today. Was trying to save a step of having to move my whole desk around. Well, it's readable. Let me, hang on a second. What is this? YouTube info. No, I don't want that. Oh, good. Now we're all out of whack here. Okay, there's that. There we go. That's what I want to do. Sorry about this, fellas. Anyway, here's your 82 standings. You can see now we've got we're just shy of halfway through the season. Milwaukee, 78 games, Boston 77, 76 for Kansas City. Yeah, just under halfway. You can see the Brewers have taken over first place since we last did this. And this is 2 weeks of games now since I did the last one. Red Sox, a game and a half back. Blue Jays, 3.5. Indians, 4. One reason I picked 1982 is there were a lot of tight races. It looked to me like in every division we could have had potentially a good race. In the AL West, not so much, at least not to this point. Kansas City running away with it. The Royals, the best record in the league now. 7 games up on the White Sox, with the Mariners and the underperforming Angels a distant 14.5 back. Minnesota, Texas, and Oakland round that out. In the East, going further past Cleveland, we have the Yankees at 500. They're 10 back. There he is. And the disappointing Orioles, they won 94 games in real life. You can see over here on the right. 37 and 39 so far, and the Tigers in last at 32 and 43. Still, however, a better record than 3 Western teams. The West really being dominated to this point by the Royals. In the National League, the Cardinals still have the league's best record, 49 and 31. They're 4.5 up on the Pirates, 6 up on the Expos. Phillies disappointing 35 and 43 so far, 13 back. And the Cubs and the Mets round out the division. Tightest race so far is in the NL West, where the Dodgers have a mere 1-game lead on the Atlanta Braves. The Padres 6.5 back. Giants, who won 87 in real life, a disappointing 37-44 so far. And then you have the Astros and the Reds at the bottom. I kind of think so, Michael, on both teams. Yeah, I keep expecting both of those teams to fare a little better. I can tell you from playing the games, one of the Angels' problems is the lack of a good bullpen. They don't really have much down there. Best probably Doug Corbett. And that's not saying much, not in 1982. Now, what I usually do, too, is jump over to the first grand totals, see how everybody's faring in the team totals, right? So here's Kansas City leads the league at 286, Boston hitting 285. If we look at runs scored, Indians way out ahead. Cleveland 422 runs to this point, and then you've got bunched very closely the Red Sox, the Royals, and the Angels. So hitting is not the problem for the Angels, clearly. Baltimore, 344 runs. So let's see, that means that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams have scored more. So they're 10th. Is that right? 14 teams. They're 10th in runs scored. So it seems to me they should be scoring more. Team pitching with a league ERA of exactly 4. We have Kansas City 3.44, the Brewers 3.49. Then you got the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mariners. And again, the Orioles down there a bit at 4.11. And you can see the Angels' problem. They're second to last with a 4.43 team ERA. Only the Twins, and believe me, the Twins have a horrid pitching staff in 1982. National League totals. They had two less teams, didn't they? They had 12, the American League 14. Anyway, the Pirates hitting 283, Cubs 279, you got the Reds, the Phillies. St. Louis about in the middle, and the Dodgers 10th at 262. In terms of runs scored, which is obviously more important, the Pirates lead the way with 400. And remember in 1982, of course, DH in the American League, no DH in the National League. So you've got the Pirates at 400, the Cubs at 384, then it drops down to Expos 375, Cardinals 373. So the Cardinals are 4th in runs scored, and they're right there with the 2 and 3 teams. Then you've got the Dodgers, the Dodgers at 364. Who would be last? The Astros, 268. Astros and Giants. Giants actually scoring decently for their low team average, largely because of their 63 home runs. Pirates lead as a team with 71 home runs. Interestingly, the Padres lead the league in team ERA. How about that? 2.98. Dodgers 3.09. Expos 3.47. Cardinals 3.49. So the Padres a surprising team there. The other three you would expect to see in the pitching leaders for that season. And the Reds, pretty much the Minnesota of the NL. Their pitching is atrocious. Pirates seem to be all offense, no hitting. Okay, I always like to look at those. Let's go back here now. We'll start taking a look at the league leaders. With Mookie's permission, of course. Can't see him there, I guess. Oh, you can see him. He's barely visible there, trying to get up on the coffee table where the laptop is. Or coffee table. It's a TV tray, if truth be told. Okay, batting average, you've got Willie Wilson at 354, Cecil Cooper at 341, Toby Harrah 340, Damaso Garcia and Rich Dower round out the top 5. Also among the leaders, there's Willie Upshaw, John Wathen, Glenn Wright, Rod Carew, Tom Paciorek, Hal McRae, and Steve Kemp all over 300. I should have got a pointer. I usually have a pen when I do this, but I don't really have a pointer. What could I use? What could I use for a pointer without having to disturb the cat? Well, that's fine. You can see them. Hang on. No, I'm not happy with that at all. I'm going to get a pen or something and turn this heat down, too. It always seems to come on when I'm trying to do a stream. All right. Okay, run scored, Toby Harrah, 71. That's going to be Dewey Evans, 61. John Wathen, Ricky Henderson, Cecil Cooper, and Damaso Garcia round out the top 5. Garcia leading in hits with 114. Harrah and Cooper over 100. In doubles, it's a close bunch there. Robin Yount, 26. And again, we're just under halfway through the season, so you can almost extrapolate these out. Just multiply by 2, plus a tick. See what kind of pace they're on. Garcia, 25. Fred Lynn, 24. Al Cowens, 22. Cecil Cooper, Frank White, Greg Lazinski, 21. In triples, it's Larry Herndon with 10. Hal McRae has 9. Jerry Mumphrey, 7. Dwight Evans, 6. Cal Ripken, Willie Upshaw, Willie Wilson, Bill Allman, and Tony Bernazard all have 5 triples. And let's get to the money stats now. Home runs and RBIs. Toby Harrah leading the league in home runs with a whopping 26. He's passed Reggie Jackson, who I believe led in our last update. Reggie has 20. Cooper, 19. Rice, 18. Parrish, that would be Detroit's Lance Parrish, 18. In RBIs, Thornton and Harrah, both with Cleveland, leading the league with 64 RBIs. Cecil Cooper, 62. Jim Rice and Hal McRae round out the top 5. In walks, Ricky Henderson, this was his big stolen base year, remember? Getting on base a ton, too, with 84 walks. Second is his teammate, Dwayne Murphy, with 63. Evans, Thornton, and Bruce Bochy rounding out the top 5. Bochy's also received 10 intentional walks, which leads the league. Chet Lemon's been plunked 7 times, a handful of players with 6. Stolen bases, look at Henderson, 89. He's going to shatter his own record. Yeah, at this pace, we'll have around 180 steals. Damaso Garcia with a very impressive 50, but a distant second to Ricky. The recently deceased Ricky Henderson. R.I.P. Ricky. John Wathen, 32 steals. Von Hayes and Jose Cruz, 26. Well, thanks, Jera. Jera, is it? Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Let's see, these other things, hitting streak. You probably know that the star indicates a current streak. So Gritch with the highest hitting streak on the season, 21. But Toby Harrah has a current 18-game streak, and Amos Otis a 12-game streak currently. Slugging and on base, Harrah leading in slugging, Cecil Cooper second, Jim Rice third, Fred Lynn fourth at 547, Dwight Evans 534, and quite a few other good performances over 500. Upshaw, Urbeck, Cowens, Reggie Jackson, Thornton, Willie Aikens, Hal McRae, and on base, Harrah. Again, it's a Toby Harrah all over the place now. 420 on base, giving Harrah a league-leading 1,064 OPS. Evans, Carew, Wathan, and Bakhti. Actually, Bakhti and Thornton, round out the top 5 in on-base percentage. And, of course, you can go back. I go through these kind of quickly, but you can pause it at any time and watch this at your leisure, which I find most people do who are following the stats update. Don't necessarily get a big live crowd for this. And we could look at it. 11 watching now, it says. OPS, of course, Harrah 1,064. Cooper, Evans, Lynn, and Rice. OPS to me it's not a perfectly accurate stat. It's a good general stat as far as lumping large groups of players together. It's not precise, in other words, it's more of a loose yardstick, in my opinion anyway. Okay, let's drop down to pitching. Dave Stieb leads the American League in wins with 12. Mike Caldwell and Luis Leal with 10 apiece. Eckersley, Quisenberry out of relief. That's impressive with 9. Britt Burns, Rich Dotson, and Len Barker all with 9. In ERA, Jim Beattie. There's a surprise. Don't expect to see Beattie leading the league in ERA in 1982, but there he is, 1.83. Dan Quisenberry has worked a ton of innings in relief, 2.03. Eckersley, of course, was a starting pitcher that year, 2.31. Leal, who was leading for a while, is now 4th, 2.51. And Bob McClure at 2.66 round out the top 5. Innings pitched. You can see those. Clancy, Steve, Langford, Dennis Martinez, Dan Petrie in the top 5. Complete games, Langford, Leal, and Steve all with 11. Clancy, Barker, and Jack Morris with 9. Gossage has 20 saves to lead the league. Raleigh Fingers with 16. Bill Cottle, 15. Quisenberry with a dozen. And Salome Barojas of the White Sox rounds out the top 5 with 11. And let's see, shutouts. Eckersley and Doc Medich have 3. In this last block, Doc Medich had a no-hitter. I should point that out. Wonder if I can find that, because I know I saved it. Let's see. What would that be under print files? $19.80. I'll share that with you. I just remembered that. I meant to do that. There it is, right there. All right, that just doesn't work that well, does it? Okay. Let's do it in the game. This will be much better. There you go. How about that? No hit the A's, 2-0. beat tough luck loser Matt Keogh. Then let's look at strikeouts. Floyd Bannister, remember him? 109. Flame-throwing lefty for the Mariners. Len Barker, Ron Guidry, Dave Righetti, who was still a starter then, and Moose Haas round out the top 5. I like to go down to strikeout to walk, too. Moose Haas by far leading strikeout to walk percentage. More important in real life, of course, than it is in Strat-O-Matic. Let's jump over to the National League. We'll look at the leaders there. There we have Bull Durham. Leon Durham, 364, leading the league. Bill Buckner and Bo Diaz at 331. Dave Concepcion and Bill Madlock round out the top 5. Also over 300, Chris Chambliss, who was with the Braves that year. Al Oliver, Lonnie Smith, always a favorite of mine. Andre Dawson, great player. I thought he was kind of underrated at the time he was playing. He's gotten his recognition, I think, since then. I could be wrong. Jason Thompson, Cedeno, and Morgan over 300 as well. In runs scored, Al Oliver leads the pack at 60. Right behind him is Thompson at 59. Oliver was with the Expos, by the way. You tend to think of Oliver as a Pittsburgh Pirate, or I do anyway. Ryan Sandberg, Steve Sachs, and Dawson round out the top 5 in that category in hits. Bill Buckner with 111. Concepcion 106, Durham 102, Garvey and Raines round out the top 5. Also Mookie Wilson. Mookie, we almost forgot you, buddy. In doubles, Garvey and Ray Knight of Houston with 23, Dale Berra, the Pittsburgh shortstop, with 22, Terry Kennedy and John Stearns round out the top 5. You might remember Stearns as a catcher who could steal a base. 3 players have 5 triples: Omar Moreno, Ivan De Jesus, and Tim Raines. Money stat time. Mike Schmidt leading the league in home runs in 22, and that should come as no surprise to anyone. Bob Horner with 19, Pedro Guerrero 17, Jason Thompson and Tim Wallach with 16. Right behind him, Bo Diaz, Chili Davis, and Durham with 15. In RBIs, it's Bo Diaz, the Philly catcher, with 60. Al Oliver, 57, Leon Durham, 56, Madlock, 55, Buckner, 53, Schmidt and Hendrick, 52, Guerrero and Wallach, 51, Horner and Thompson, 49. Well, they're bunched pretty tight there after the top 3. Thompson leading in walks narrowly over Jack Clark. My good friend Keith Hernandez, with Lonnie Smith, Bob Horner, Mike Schmidt, Leon Durham rounding out the top 5. Lonnie Smith also leads in intentional walks with 15. Hit by pitch, he leads in that category as well. Lonnie Smith's been plunked 8 times. Bump Wills, Maury's kid, Chicago's second baseman, with 7. Easler, Parker, Rose, Buckner, Kingman, and Joel Youngblood have all been plunked 5 times. In steals, it's Omar Moreno and Tim Raines leading the league, 37 apiece. Lonnie Smith, 35. Alan Wiggins, 33. Bob Dernier and Bump Wills round out the top 5. Hitting streak, nobody active listed. Andre Dawson with the longest hitting streak of the season in either league so far at 23. Slugging and on base, Schmidt leading in slugging, 613, narrowly over the Cubs' Durham at 611. Bo Diaz, Jason Thompson, and Tim Wallach round out the top 5. And several other fine sluggers over 500, Joe Morgan, Bill Madlock, Guerrero, Oliver, Chambliss, Dawson, and Mike Easler. In on base, Durham with a whopping 454. Second in slugging, so it's no surprise to see Durham and Schmidt atop the OPS category. Going back to on base, Durham, Jason Thompson, Lonnie Smith, Morgan at 409, with Al Oliver and Mike Schmidt rounding out the top 5. And we'll jump down to the pitching leaders here. There we go. In wins, it's Mario Soto. Remember him? He was a great pitcher. Fernando Valenzuela and the Padres' Tim Lawler, all with a dozen wins. Rick Rhoden, Scott Sanderson with 11, Jerry Royce and Joaquin Andujar with 10. Just missing double digits, Carlton and Lasky and Forsch, Charlie Lee and Randy Jones. In earned run average, Scott Sanderson of the Expos, 1.78. Bill Lasky of the Giants, 2.08. Tim Lawler, 2.11. Charlie Lee and Fernando Valenzuela rounding out the top 5. Also under 3 is Nolan Ryan, Bob Forsch, and Joe Niekro. 2 Dodgers atop the innings pitched category, Valenzuela and Royce, and Carlton, Soto, and Lawler rounding out the top 5. In complete games, Carlton's thrown 10. Soto 9, Lawler 8, Royce and Don Sutton with Houston that year, 7 complete games. In saves, it's Bruce Sutter, 19. I'll show you Sutter's numbers here in a minute, too. Sutter, for having a great season in real life. And yes, he does have the 19 saves, but his numbers are less than spectacular. We'll take a look at Sutter here in a minute. Let's do it now because I'll forget. Yeah, I know myself too well. Okay, let's go to St. Louis. And here's Sutter's numbers. 2.9 ERA in real life. The white line, their real life numbers, and the blue line, their replay numbers. You can see he's on a pace to be overused as well. I don't mind a little overusage. He's a bit high. I'd like to see it under 115 anyway. But yeah, he's got the 19 saves, but a 4.43 ERA. And he's given up 76 hits in 61 innings. He only gave up 88 in 102 innings in real life. What's really telling to me are these 3 columns, the hits per 9, walks per 9, and Ks per 9. He's giving up way more hits, the walks is close, and he's striking out a batter less per 9 innings than he did in real life. So I thought that was kind of interesting. In shutouts, Carlton, Bob Welch, Don Sutton, Joaquin Andujar all have 3. Let's go down to strikeouts here. It's Carlton leading the way with 154. Soto, who you would expect to lead the league in strikeouts, but he's a close second at 149. Nolan Ryan, Fernando Valenzuela, Mike Krukow, or is it Krukow? I never know how to pronounce that one. I think it's Krukow. Anyway, he's 5th with 95. Strikeout to walk, no one with a ridiculous number. No 1966 Milt Pappas, in other words. Carlton leads Candelaria 3-1. Soto, Valenzuela, Sanderson. Anyway, that about does it for the 1982 stats update. Hope you enjoyed that. And I'll be back in about 2 hours for my 1966 card and dice game. Pittsburgh Pirates at Houston Astros, the first game of a doubleheader. So I want to thank everybody for checking out the stats. Hope you liked it. Please join me today at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern for a live game. That'll be fun. Until then, Spokane Steve saying, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, everybody. So long for now.